Collective, welcome. I'm Nikki, your local vegan terrorist, and we're gonna attempt a reading. I've got the heat on full blast because it's very cold. I'm cold. I'm a Floridian. So maybe someone's in Florida, or Florida is some sort of confirmation for you. But I'm gonna use all of the supplemental decks and not my primary masculine and feminine decks that I typically use, because I'm going into this reading on the frequency and the kind of universal understanding that both parties are at their divine frequency, because we are gearing and calling in this union, right? So if we're focused on trying to tap into the past of the two individual parties, that helps so that people can relate to the reading and they're like, this is for me because I relate to that. But I just want to talk about what's in the future, so that way we can start claiming that as a current, I was going to say a current state, but then currency was right there. So yeah, currency, which is pentacle energy, it's that longevity, the investment we're always talking about. So yeah, we have the devil and the 10 of pentacles. Yeah, we don't need to discuss the devil in reverse, right? So we don't need to talk about the nameless demon is the only one that has power over you. But then there comes a point where when you just keep saying the name of the demon, you're actually empowering it, right? So you disempower it by identifying it, acknowledging it. The Empress. But there comes a time where it's like, okay, we gotta stop talking about that. Because if you keep saying, I have trust issues, if you keep saying these things, it's like, yes, it's good to be self-aware, but then what's beyond that, okay? You're aware of it, but if you go into any new connection with those fears, and you're wearing them you're wearing your heart on your sleeve, but if your heart is all broken or it's in that 3 of Swords energy, then that's what you're calling in. That's what you're going to continue to attract. Believe me. Yeah, 5 of Swords. The way you talk about yourself. We are changing that tune. Death. Scorpionic energy. Page of Wands. Yeah, let's inspire each other here to come out of that, because if you continue to hear readings and you're like, oh, your person's around the corner, and you feel the synchronicities are building and they're more frequent, and it's like they're so frequent that you're just like, I'm in it, you feel I'm in the zone, but then you don't see things in the 3D that you're feeling in the 5D, it can be discouraging, and that discouragement gives the devil access to you. It gives those lower vibrations access to you. Okay, so we got the Queen of Cups, High Priestess, and the Star. Aquarius and Pisces energy. Alright, this is very healing energy. It's also faith-based. Alright, it's seeing beyond the veil. Seeing beyond the veil. And you may find it difficult to, because the 5 of Swords is here between this Star, the healing, and the High Priestess, the intuition. And so that's a blockage of the throat chakra here, okay? Because the Star, Aquarius energy, the sun is our star, so it's like between the balancing and the discernment of the higher self and higher chakras, and the heart's how we connect. That's where the union comes in. It's where the sun and the moon both align, and they total eclipse of the heart, right? So maybe that song is important here. Maybe you're an 80s, 90s baby. Warrior woman, the craftsman. There's a lot of strong feminine energy here. Could be same sex, but even in same sex there's masculine and feminine. So this is a lot of feminine energy here. So this could be the separation as as well. Joint effort. 3 of Wands. This gives me, these are two people, two travelers. Two drifters off to see the world. Fixed energy. There's such a lot of world to see. And the walrus. That always reminds me of lovers. Or walruses now, unfortunately, just like centipedes, always remind me of those body horror movies. Tusk and the Human Centipede. So there's something like this grotesque sort of, I mean, that is a pure, I don't want to give a bad name to walruses, but based on that movie, if you haven't seen it, there could be something in that movie for you. Justin Long is a Gemini, I believe, which represents the lovers, and then we have the lovers right here to verify that. Ruin, 10 of Swords. So 3 of Wands is 2 drifters. I think you've been ships in the night, but these two people are aligned. This is what you have to look forward to. Somebody that you can reveal, almost like a whack-a-mole. You can reveal your shadows. You can reveal your fears, your demons, all of those things. You can be completely yourself with this person. And it's in the emotions, right? There's a lot of shadows and shadow work that you've done in your emotions, which is why your heart space was blocked. It's why you felt unable to connect. But I get this sense that you were never able to express this. Maybe you can't talk about a twin flame journey with everybody. People are going to be like, what the hell? You know, more people relate to saying like, oh, my person, my soulmate, you know. Most people can say like, yes, that's my better half or whatever. You know, they have other terms. But when you start to try, and if you find that you don't have anybody to express the challenges of a twin flame journey around you, yeah, it's very isolating, right? So there was an isolation here of not being able to really express. Maiden of Blades, Queen of Swords here, and the Scout. Yeah, I feel there's a formidable sort of icy coating. Maybe, you know, I'm just feeling that iciness because it's cold. But there's this like longing for the sun, right? Which is the divine masculine celestial body. The sun represents that truth and knowledge and clarity and warmth as well, and growth. You know, things don't grow without the sun except things that grow in the dark, and those are typically not good things that grow in the dark, except mushrooms. But they're fun guys, right? We got the Coyote, the Magician here, Gemini, Virgo, and Taurus. It's a lot of Gemini energy. Aquarius and Pisces. Maiden of Blades. There's some sort of like icy coating around the feminine. The sun is about to come out. This person is going to feel very warm. Judgment. This is like self-judgment. Again, the way we talk about ourselves. Somebody is maybe the hold up here is that somebody is still claiming things that are false truths, some nonsense, some outright bullshit lies that other people put on you, your parents, society, whatever. Those are not your truths. So I am statements. I think with the Magician here, right? You feel like, oh, it's not time. That's what you're alchemizing. You feel like, oh, I'm not meeting my person. I'm not this. Where are they? You have this like longing and this distance between you two through where we alchemize a truth from, where we create, where we I said alchemize. Why am I saying alchemize so much? because I think somebody is feeling disempowered about or questioning their ability to alchemize. Because maybe you've done a lot of throat chakra work, maybe you've done a lot of affirmations, and you just haven't, or whatever work, whatever spiritual practices or meditation that you've done to try and draw this union closer, and maybe it's worked in other areas of your life, but it's not working in love. Maybe there's this missing factor, it feels, but it's not. There's nothing is missing. It's like you're on to it. You're on to the game. You know how to alchemize. There's somebody that needs to remember that you are a creator of your reality. Six of Wands is victory, yes. So there are little seeds of doubt that are growing in there, growing in the darkness. Bring some light to them, okay? And so that might be expressing your feelings to somebody that you can express them to. If you don't feel like you have any people around you, express it to the dogs, express it to your animals, express it to plants, express it to the divine, express it to yourself. There's something that needs to be said, and the breakthrough is in the heart. That is like kids talking in a box fan or some kind of fan. The voice is kind of, it's like there's something, you're speaking truth, but it's something about where you're speaking it. You need to change your environment with the world and traveling. Maybe you need to change the environment, okay? Because it's like, it's coming out distorted to the universe because it's being reflected possibly by maybe your own shadows, maybe your family, friends, right? Those people, whatever you're surrounding yourself with. So there's a need to get out in nature. Maybe do a fire ceremony, right? Work with the elements. That's what the magician does. They're an elementalist. 4. If you want the 4 of Wands, right? So yeah, maybe you've been doing all the meditation. You've been doing so many things right, and they've been working for you in many ways, but it's like the love factor is still not there. The X factor, maybe the letter X, Xavier, X-Men. Now we're already 13 minutes in. I hope that you guys can hear me because that heat, I'm going to turn it down a little bit. But Sundance, yes, I think there's some sort of true magic, and the truest magic is done in nature, with nature, working with your nature, your truth. I'm at 15%. So I have to One of Shields and the Warrior of Blades. That's that Knight of Swords. Look how he's riding that horse on the side there. Well, it's like he's jumping on it. So it's like once you change that tune, because when you come into connection with your Chief of Blades, there he is. So we've got the Chief and the Maiden of Blades. And the Two of Swords. There's a masculine that's coming toward their feminine, but it's like because you possibly met, interacted, triggered each other, it's all of this self-worth. Those doubts came up. Those doubts blocked you. So there's like, not just maybe I am statements, but make statements about the union that you want, the union that you are calling in. Make statements as if you're already doing it. If you want to wake up in the morning and read the newspaper and have coffee and, sit on your front porch or whatever, or if you want to hit the town, whatever you want to do with your person, you want to go hiking, it's kayaking because we've got the canoes here, whatever environment, I think that there's a need to rewrite that. Charlie, can you be sweet another time, honey bun? Thank you. 202. Yeah, it's you both have done the 2 in reverse. You both have done the work on yourselves. And I think that what is being mirrored back to you, you're like, why is this getting so distorted? I do have value and self-worth, and I know what I want, and I can see it. Maybe you've already done these visualizations and you can see what you want, and maybe you've even had prophetic dreams or visions of your person, but then you're not seeing them in the 5D. Or you've gone into separation and you're doubting whether or not this is your person, because why are we apart? Why are we separated? Because there are some other shadows that you have to come to terms with. And it's not necessarily that you have to fix them all by yourself, but you have to come to terms with exposing them and expressing them to people, especially the person that you want to be in a partnership with. Because if you don't express them to them, it's like you're, by withholding information, by withholding your emotions, by withholding these fears or anything, they're getting more power. And I think it's confusing both of you, because you're both, neither one of you are saying this is how I feel. Or maybe one of you isn't saying it, right? Because it takes two to tango, baby. So there's like that's what's holding up this harvest here. The event is the tower. Time is the tower. That's also like a bell tower. Sanctuary. Yeah, it's like there's a confession here. There's some sort of confession. And I don't think it has to do, because I don't entertain that energy. There's not like a third party romantic. I'm not like, oh, your divine masculine or your divine feminine chose someone else. Then that's not your divine masculine or feminine. That's just a karmic, right? But that's me, because if there's a choice, don't choose me, kind of thing. Between me and someone else. If it's between a past version of you and the lifestyle that you could have if you're single, because a lot of us, if we've been single for a long time, it can be a challenge to try and imagine another person in that pocket of peace that we've created, right? But we have time and strength. Mighty mangoes, muscles of the tropics. Mangoes are the muscles of the tropics. I don't know, maybe the fruit mango. That's also a good song by Kamau. K-A-M-A-U-U. Mango. And that's also this sense of if you love it, let it go, right? So it's releasing the idea of the attachment to that person being your person, and really more manifesting the energy, the frequency of your divine counterpart. And if that particular vessel chooses with their free will to rise to that frequency, then yes, that can be, a karmic can transform or transmute their self into a divine counterpart, right? So that's how all divine unions are twin flames, but not all twin flames come into divine union, because there's always a choice. That Two of Swords, there's always a choice. And with the mango, that song Mango, he said, if you found some other dude, what would I do if he loves you truly? How could I not love him too? It's like, maybe there was a choice, right? Just because that's not how I roll. Maybe there was a choice made, and it's kind of releasing that person into the ability to choose, right? And it's more important to me that you be loved how you want to be loved. And if I can't provide that, then I am willing to let you go. I would rather see you happy and see you. But I feel like that is more maybe a fear. That's the fear that this person's going to be with somebody else. Let me get... These are all newer decks, or not decks that I constantly use. Let me go to Old Faithful, the Van Gogh deck. Five of Pentacles. I think somebody, in that triggering, somebody felt like, well, you know what? I just want you to be happy. And there could be that fear of everyone leaves me, therefore I don't make anyone happy. Maybe a parent walked away and they're like, oh, I don't make people happy. So I said I wasn't going to talk about karmic energy, but well, I'm not going to give to like third parties and stuff. But this is this feels current. This is like what is keeping you separated. Knight of Cups. Yeah, there's somebody. King of Wands, keep dealing with the masculine fire sign. Nine of Swords. There's so much anxiety on the masculine side. I mean, they're coming in with the Chief of Blades, but they're a Chief of Blades, but they've also got this shotgun, this rifle. Why do they have a shotgun? This rifle, why do they have that? Why are they bringing a gun to a knife fight? Why are you bringing this heat to this conversation? So this is going to be a very charged, passionate conversation, I think, between this Chief of Blades and this Maiden of Blades. Four of Pentacles, Virgo energy. Yeah, someone's coming in hot. 10 of Wands, 9 of Wands. They've waited long enough. And I think, and 3 of Wands again. So the 3 of Wands is that movement. So they could be coming toward you, but with the 4 of Pentacles, I think this was the position that the masculine was in for a minute. And the feminine started to doubt. And so then that made the masculine go, oh, well, maybe we're not meant to be together. You both felt this, or will feel this if you haven't met, this, all of those 4 elements of the, or maybe 3 of the 4 elements of compatibility. Compatibility, chemistry, communication, and connection, right? For all the elements. With the Magician here, these are 2 elementalists, and it's, when you first came together, I feel that the triggering of whatever component was not there shifted you both into a place of some doubt. We had the 4 of Wands, but see, this is, maybe you're dealing with a Capricorn or a Pisces, right? But there is, with the 4 of Wands, I get this masculine, a lot of Wands energy. They're coming in with a lot of heat and stuff, but it's like they're almost burnt out. So it's like when this masculine reaches their feminine, physically or emotionally, however they're making their way toward the feminine, they're going to be exhausted. They're going to need to be like little spooned, I think, because this is taking all of their might to go through their fears, their low self-worth. I think this masculine was very run down with a lot of really, I think by a feminine, maybe a mother, could be a mother, past lover, right? Because the way that this masculine is looking at this maiden, she's over here, right? And the Queen of Swords can also represent like an ex. Because we have the 3 of Swords, so with disappointment, it's like the King and Queen of Swords can often represent exes that were sharp-tongued. But anyway, him having this, that's like he's got this extra ammo here, because I don't think that could have been a feminine with long black hair, but he's very wary of feminine energy, this masculine. But they know, yeah, the Tower and the Moon, they're going through, and it could be at night that they're traveling, or they're going to be messaging you, reaching out to have this conversation, to express this confession of, maybe I chose somebody else because it was easier. Because it's like, they know when they come into this, it's going to take all of their might to rise above, to be called to that frequency. But they want to do it with the Tower here. Several towers, scorpionic energy, endings, and death came out as well. So it's, I know I have to put an ending to this cycle. 10 of Wands. It's almost like a player settling down. 2 of Wands. A lot of fire energy. I mean, a ton of fire energy here. 6 of Cups. This is soulmate. Soulmate energy. This is a frequency of someone that is, soulmates are healing, whether they're platonic or romantic, whether they're animals, right? We have our familiars. That is for healing. All right, let's read from the energy centers, because I feel like with all this alchemy, the Magician and the Elementalist, and that balance, the 4-4-4 is being represented here. throat. Huh. Go figure. I exercise the power of the spoken word for transformation. Book drop. That's pretty much it. Just as there is a time to speak and a time to remain silent, there is a time to meditate and a time to take the fruit of our meditation and send it forth in the science of the spoken word. The creative power of the sound is at the heart of the world's spiritual traditions, East and West, whether as the Jewish Shema and Amida, the Christian Our Father, the Muslim Shahada, the Hindu Gayatri, or the Buddhist Om Mani Padme Hum. Okay. Y'all can read those, okay? I would pick that. Like, I feel this person they're speaking words that they've never spoken before. Maybe they've never said, I love you. That's the movie Love and Other Drugs. There could be some sort of addictions involved here, or I don't think that they're current, but I think that that's something that has to be overcome. But again, if those are, if somebody's made the choice to overcome those or to work through those, then that's something they're going to be transparent with their person about and say, this is a problem for me. These are triggers for me. These are where my shadows come up. They're coming forward in a very humble way and trusting that whatever happens, whether they speak their truth and this feminine goat chooses somebody else or goes in a different direction, that they at least spoke their truth. And if they're going to come together with this feminine and this feminine receives their offer, accepts their offer, then they can move forward in a healing way. That's the only way to move forward in this connection, is a healing way. But the movie Love and Other Drugs, that's Sagittarius and Scorpio. So you could be a cusper, you could be either one of those signs. That is the crown chakra and the sacral chakra. So somebody's having some sort of spiritual breakthrough about their sexuality. And that's where creative energy comes from as well. So their ability to be an alchemist. And I think that they've discovered that the key is speaking. There's such a power and a healing in speaking it out and getting it out. Because when it's in here, it just becomes like a furnace. This information, this confession, this expression is here. And you can't do anything with, you can't do anything with that repressed. But in Love and Other Drugs, neither one of them have ever said that they loved each other, loved a person. And they're kind of like, there's like a physical reaction. He's like doing this. He's about to have a panic attack. And she's like, I don't know what's going on. Do you want some water? What do you want? And they got into this arrangement of just a casual friends with benefits thing. Like she didn't even remember his name the first couple times, So there was this sort of, they thought they were going to be getting in something else, and it turns out they're actually soulmates. Dun, 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 dun. And so, but yeah, he expresses this, but it takes this breakthrough, and then he's softened, and then she kind of like, then she becomes reactive, and so, it's like this is a very possibly reactive feminine. Now, not in a way that is going to be, but there could be, the feminine could be a runner. And that could also be the fear of the masculine, that if I express this, you're going to run away. Another song by Bexy is it Villain Tears? He says, I'm back on the edge again. And he says, if I tell you how I feel, I know you'll run away. Everyone's the fucking same. I'm back on my own again. This is a solitary masculine who has never been able to count on anybody. Possibly the feminine shares that as well. So when you're hyper independent, you've created that space for yourself. It feels very safe, and love is not safe. There's no safety net there other than faith. Faith in the other person, faith in yourself, that if things are not conducive to your highest good, that you will walk away, that you will choose yourself, that willingness to choose yourself. And maybe you've always chosen other people, or maybe you're in back-to-back relationships. There was issues with codependency, or just a cycle of that. And when once you've broken and healed that cycle, there's a whole other breakthrough when you start to accept somebody into that, right? It makes it a little bit easier to heal that when you're in solitude. But then once you have to accept somebody else into that solitude, that's that feels like an even bigger risk, especially when you know that this is a demanding, and not in a burdensome way, but a way that calls you to always rise up. There's a lot of apprehension with that idea because it sounds exhausting, because you were always battling uphill in these other connections, but none of these other connections were up that hill with you. And so you were always on your own. So you over-invested into those that did not invest back. So it was draining. It took from you. It weighed you down. When you invest, even if you over-invest in a soulmate, in someone who is there for mutual healing, there isn't an over-investment, right? You're not going to be drained. It's going to be like this. And I feel like once you guys say the thing that needs to be said, whatever that thing is, once you express and make that offer and humble yourself before the face of this union, right? Pearly gates is the divine union, right? If you want access to heaven, you have to present as a child. You have to be innocent. You have to be vulnerable. You have to be open-hearted, and you just trust. You know how kids they're just tumble off of stuff and they just trust that you're going to catch them. I think both of you have been metaphorically dropped on your head or not caught. And so you've learned to just always have 3 points of contact, right? Like I'm getting like a runner just before a race, how they have 3 points of contact and then the gunshot goes off, right? That pop shot is like, and I feel like that's how this person's going to come in, because they're like, YOLO. They're like, it's now or never, and if I don't do it, I'll never know, and there's something that I need to express, and whichever way it goes, that the trust is, whichever way it goes, I'm always willing to choose myself. And when you're always willing to choose yourself, then the pressure is off of your person to be that fulfillment for you, and then you can just fuel and inspire and co-create, and it's just very charged. And I feel the type of love that we've got here is going to be one full of fire and passionate pursuits. It's going to be constant creation, and even when you're resting, you're going to be creating, because you're co-creating. You finally found somebody who is not going to let you fall. They're not going to let you fall. They're not going to accept when you talk like shit about yourself. They're not going to accept any lower vibrational things. Now, if you have a day where you're like, I just need to, be sinful, they're going to be like, okay. But as long as it's not the 7 deadly sins, which again, I'm getting the chakras, it's like, as long as you're not harming yourself, I'm not going to let you harm yourself, because I won't stand for that kind of mistreatment. Because you look innocent to this person. In all, believe it or not, because you're probably going, I am far from innocent. You are pure and innocent to this person, because this person and you, with the 6 of Cups, you match each other as children. And you're going to always be in the face of God. And whatever that means to you, it's going to be a holy, divine union, right? And that's what I like. So I will pull from this one as well. Joy with trouble. June 4th. We picked from July 4th yesterday. We also have joy with our troubles, because we know that these troubles produce patience. Don't you hate that word? It's like the Mummy. Patience is a virtue. And he's like, not right now, it isn't. Like, I'm tired of being patient. I'm tired of waiting. Then if you feel that way, sit. You've already alchemized so much in your life, right? You've already broken and healed so many cycles. You've already tapped into so many shadows, transmuted and shed light and done a ton of shadow work. You're not a fool. You're not starting over at square one, right? You can alchemize in one meditation session, all right, however you meditate. And if you just sit and focus on your person's energy, okay, you're not going, where are you? It's not like you're this angry, naggy partner. It's like calling, where are you? You said you were going to be here 10 minutes ago. What you're saying is, I'm ready when you are. I invite you. I invite you in. And make sure that you're focusing before you say things like that, so that you're not inviting just anybody in, right? You don't want to be open to everything. Focus on your person, and when you are laser focused in your third eye on that person, then you alchemize. Then the connection comes in. Then you can work through a lot of the other stuff, because you will discover them. You can only discover so much when you're living in solitude, right? You will not know all of your shadows until they're mirrored by your twin. So there's a maybe this is going to be part of your vows, something like, through in sickness and in health, in trials and tribulation, I will be there. That's the commitment and the investment I'm making to you. I think this is going to be a very strong expression of love. This isn't just going to be like, I think you're cute, you want to get coffee? It may start like that, but I think it's very quickly going to say, okay, we're here. Let's do this. I'm ready. I'm ready. Are you in? I'm in. It's like the, what is that? Arnold Schwarzenegger with, is that Predator? Where they're like, yeah, and they got the guns or whatever. Over the top. Something about rainbows. Over the top. You're gonna be, I think you guys are gonna kind of be almost obnoxious with how cute you are. Because it's like, every time that you've been too much for other people, it's just because they couldn't handle all of that authenticity. They couldn't handle all that truth and all that light and all that exuberance, because they were miserable. This person is like, I've been waiting for my playmate. I've been like sitting here playing solitaire and playing chess and all by myself, and now I have a person to play with. And when you have somebody to play with, it just, so with all the shadows that you're going to be dredging up and working through, you're not going to be doing it alone, number one. And number two, you're going to be completely light. There's going to be so much light and joy and abundance and fun, just fun. Like finally some fun. So it's going to make doing that work, the joy with trouble, it's going to make it not feel like work, right? Because you're like, oh, you're just going to be able to be human around this person. There's no judgment about you being as humanly possible. Sometimes people question God. Is pain my punishment? You've heard the expression, rain falls on the just and the unjust, right? Or better, the unjust and the unjust, for we are all sinners. See, it's kind of like, we're all just people out here peopling. And we all have our things, we all have our vices, we've all got our things. When people say, oh, I won't find love because I'm not perfect. Nobody's perfect. Yes, you are. So maybe you need to start saying that I'm perfect as I am, because this person sees you as perfect, or they will when you do come into contact. It's a simple fact of our existence, regardless of how good or how bad we are. Life isn't fair, ? No, but there is one who justifies life and understands the pain. And now, again, like the other thing, like yesterday's reading where I talked about Eat, Pray, Love, where that she devotes it to another person. If you're like, well, I don't pray to one God, or, I'm not monotheistic or whatever, then the one is your soulmate, your person. You're dedicating it to the one. But now you're going to be 1 + 1. So maybe you're going to meet at a wedding, or you're going to go to some kind of thing where you have to kind of maybe register or sign in, or you're giving a gift, and so it's like you finally get to put someone else's name on the card, or it could be like an office party for Christmas or New Year's or something, because we are around that time, where it's like you get invited +1, and maybe you've never done that. Maybe you've gone to parties with other people or dates or whatever, but there's something about putting this person in butterflies. There's a butterfly here, so maybe butterflies are a symbol for you. Gray or black or dark in butterflies, just because this is black and white. And yeah, June 4th, so maybe the 4th. So also that's like a countdown. So that also feels like New Year's, because there's that countdown. And yeah, if you're doing some sort of countdown, maybe you do some sort of breathing technique, and you're going to do 10, 9, 8. You're going to do them, and as you count down, then when you open your eyes, if you open a book, or if you have music playing, or maybe in your ambient space, you're going to get a confirmation at the bottom of that countdown that of who your person is, or that some sort of timeline or some sort of nod from the universe that it's time. Happy New Year! You could have a child with this person, or you will, because I'm getting Sex in the City, Monica, not Monica, that's Friends, Miranda and Steve, where she's talking to Brady, and you know, she's like, Happy New Year, the way she says that. Someone could have red hair, because they are gingery as heck. That also is like the movie Friends with Kids. That's just a good movie to watch. But yeah, there's something about going from friends to friends with actual benefits, right? Because if you've ever done a friends with benefits thing, or casual dating, casual sexuals, I don't know why I said it like that, then you know that's not important. But that scene where he's like, I've loved this woman for 19 years. So this could be somebody from your past that's really, but this is very past life. You're gonna feel like immediate friends, or you've been friends in this incarnation for a while. You know each other so well, and like the way that they speak to each other, because they're just friends, right? Because that's not something that should be poo-pooed. You know, friendships are incredibly important in healing. They're crucial. But because they didn't have the pressures of the lower chakra affiliation to a romantic partnership, they were so authentically themselves. You know, they were honest with themselves, with each other, because they didn't have those things that, once those things come in, and once you cross that boundary, it changes things. And anyone who says different, you know, that's okay. We can just agree to disagree. But this is a soul tie, and I'm really, I feel like I'm expressing this like the Clear Eyes guy. Like, this love is going to be the most fun. You're going to have a great time. But I didn't sleep very well at all. I was up from 1 to 5 a.m. and I was, dealing with some inherited energy. So, 2 hours of sleep is just not enough. And so, I'm just tired. But I am very excited about this. And I feel like you'll rest together. So another thing is you both, I think, are going to be cuddlers or snuggly people. And maybe someone isn't and somebody is, but it's with this person. Maybe you both aren't. All right, 5%. I better get off here. And this is getting kind of long. Maybe you both are not cuddlers, but with this person, you're a cuddler. And I think you're going to kind of be joined at the hip. I think you're going to be a little bit annoying and obnoxious to other people, but that's just because they're haters and they're jealous. So let them hate, because the people that actually care about you are going to be very happy for both of you. They're going to be so relieved that you, because they love and care about you unconditionally, finally found your person. And if not, everyone here is going to be happy for each other, right? Right. So I hope there was something in here for you, and until next time, I wish you well.